casual, if you use that automatic build, and that mineral cannot be used for what you probably could need at that moment in time. So that's definitely a good thing for StarCraft 2, and I like how they implemented the automatic take your minerals away as soon as you decide to build something. And also, if you tell your SCV to do something else, your minerals are refunded.
Yeah, the automatic mineral and gas deduction is really, really nice because you just don't have to worry about it. You don't have to, as you're building, you don't have to plan for what's going to happen in about 6. It automatically does it. The auto mining thing, I really don't have much of an opinion on it. I think for SC1 players, we're so used to it that it's not a big deal whether they leave it in or take it away, just because it didn't require a lot of effort. It didn't require a lot of to really go back and do. And as a Protoss player with the obelisks, I have to go back there every 45 seconds to a minute anyways to go recharge all my obelisks, so I haven't really run into that problem. I assume actually for Zerg it should be about the same, since you have to go back with your queens and spawn some more larvae every 30 seconds to a minute. I would guess something along those lines as well for Zerg players. So I don't think it's really that big of a difference. If they took it out, I wouldn't feel it. But MBS is probably the most. It's incredibly beautiful and nice. It just works perfectly. I mean, for Protoss, it just works absolutely amazingly. And you don't even have to go back to your base unless you're building another building. You never really have to go back to your base once you get to your economy in a nice solid footing. You just sit there and just rally all your gateways wherever you want them and just go back and pick up units. And I seriously have gone in games where 5-10 minutes and never even been looking at my base because I've been on the offensive for that long and kept my enemy on the back foot. And as long as you can do that, you don't even have to look at your base. And it's kind of nice that way, and it's just so intuitive and it makes sense. And I know some of the Terran players are having troubles because they have an add-on for barracks and factories, and I don't know about the starports, but I know for barracks and factories they have an add-on that allows you to build 2 things simultaneously. And that is not working completely correctly. I'm sure Blizzard will come up with something to fix that, so that way there's always something building. But with the dual core thing, it'll always queue to that building first, and sometimes it queues extra ones to that rather than spreading them among your factories or your barracks that don't have that dual core. Phrank can probably talk about that in more detail about how it messes up. But for Protoss, it does work very, very nice. And yeah, I have to say that the automation so far, I noticed it for sure, but I wasn't disappointed. I was like you. I thought I was going to hate all the automation. I thought I was going to be annoyed by all the noobs that were going to be able to compete. But the thing is that because you have all this time to micro, and you have all this extra APM that you can now use on micro and splitting up your forces and using all of these new spells, I didn't really feel that I was running out of things to do or anything like that.
Okay, now I'm going to go on my little tangent here. Thank you guys for explaining the MBS for the other races, because I was actually extremely curious, especially for Zerg, what that would be like. I know I've asked the question before about Zerg. When you select a bunch of hatcheries and you press the S key for select larva, do all the larvae come up from all the hatcheries? And the answer was yes. So I actually thought that was really impressive. And I saw somebody in the IRC saying that, oh, what I really liked as Zerg was just to be able to produce a whole bunch of units at once. Well, moving across your hatcheries in SC1 and Brood War, moving across all your hatcheries, grabbing the larva, or even just hotkeying different hatcheries to different numbers and select and press Z, and you get 3 larvas at once. But if you just press number 5 and you have, or whatever number you want, your hatcheries to be number 2, you press that number, you press S, and you just spam Z. I don't know which would be faster, to be completely honest. It might be exactly the same, but regardless, I definitely don't think that it's taking more time. Anyways, about the MBS, for Terran, it's a little bit tricky. You can select a barracks, a factory, starport, and with different add-ons and everything, and you can build, all the options are there. You can press whatever hotkey you want to build, let's say, a medevac, and at the same time, you press M and you'll build a marine from a different barracks. You press T and you'll build a tank, or, excuse me, I think the one was E for Hellion. And it'll start producing. However, for Terran, there are different add-ons. There's the reactor core add-on, and then there's the tech add-on, and both of those add-ons can go for any building, the starport, the barracks, the factory, and the tech obviously unlocks new units. The reactor, however, allows you to produce 2 units at the same time from the same building. Not that you buy 1 unit and it'll come out as 2, it's just you produce two from the same at the exact same time. It just produces faster, pretty much. However, I will have to say, I do want to say that there is a glitch as of right now that I do hope that they're going to work out, where if you select, for example, let's say factories, you select 2 factories, or you select, let's say 4 factories, 2 of them have the tech add-on, 1 has a reactor and 1 has nothing. Now you go to build you go to build 2 tanks. It'll put 1 tank in the first factory with the tech add-on, another tank in the second one, and then if you go to build Hellions, instead of going to the reactor one or the one without, it'll only build from the tech one. So you essentially have to group your factories without the tech add-on separate from the ones with the tech add-on, and as well as the other buildings. So it's just a really frustrating experience because the MBS is kind of not working not that well for Terran right now. So I do want to take 2 other questions, though. I tried to get through that as quickly as possible because there was one question that I do definitely want to take, and it was way back when, about 10-15 minutes ago, where somebody said, is mech still a viable option? Because there has been such a stress on the bio builds, even against Protoss. I did go and try to do some of the standard Brood War strategies, like the tank fast expand works extremely well. You position your tank in the right spot, and tanks actually two-shot zealots now, so no amount of zealots, and they just rape stalkers, so it works extremely well. And I had at one point 13 tanks and about 4 Marines just completely slaughter this very nice mixed Protoss army. There was a Colossus, there were Stalkers, Zealots, Immortals, everything you could imagine, even DTs. And I had one of those Ravens overhead, and I put down some turrets and stuff too, and it was just, and I just slaughtered. I actually ended the battle with all of my Marines, still had the Raven and 4 tanks, so the mech build is extremely effective still. This other question here that I'm just seeing right now, if you got to try the mule mechanic, how useful was it? Were you able to remember to continuously spawn them? Yeah, because you get to a point where you just don't want to build any SCVs anymore, but you need more minerals, and the mule actually, I think it does something like 250 mineral intake within a certain amount of seconds, so it's actually extremely effective, especially if you think of the fact that SCVs only bring minerals in 5 at a time now. Imagine this sucker bringing in 250 within a certain amount of seconds. I forget what the number was, but it's a very low amount of seconds. I think less than 30 actually. Not to mention you put one of those things on a high yield mineral patch, and I think it actually brings in double, so it's extremely effective. I did forget to spawn them from time to time, but again, it's essentially just like having more of a mineral intake, so it is definitely an advantage, especially for macro, especially again if you're going for a bio build or if you're going for a very Hellion heavy build, which I don't think is that effective right now. I think Vultures were a better unit, but Hellions, as soon as you get there's an upgrade where they do more damage to light units. Essentially, it's like saying this upgrade allows you to probe harass like a bitch, because without the upgrade, they suck. With the upgrade, they just tear through miners. So I hope that answers the Terran questions as for right now.
Phrank, actually, here's another question. Sorry, Dejavu. Here's another question for you by SDVASFDN, and I'm a little curious about this. I have my opinion on it as well. And I'm kind of hoping we can breeze through these questions a little bit quicker. It's been an hour, 13-minute podcast already, so this is going to be like a 20-part video on YouTube. But yeah, the Thor's 250mm looks crazy on paper. Was it unbalanced in actual gameplay? And I have my own opinion on this. What do you think, Phrank?
Actually, I don't think it was that imbalanced, to be completely honest. Just to clarify, I will go on a little bit more, but just to clarify, we're talking about his special ability, right?
Yeah, it's his special ability. It's a 250mm. I think it's an area of effect attack.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like his anti-air, like his anti-air was called a 250mm or something like that, which it very well could have been. But anyways, I don't think it was that effective, to be completely honest. I didn't even use it that often. I think it would be effective against other Thors or against a Colossus maybe, but if you're sitting there trying to use it on a tank, it's not that effective, because he could just be shooting other things, and he could be doing damage to other things, and it will one-shot a tank, but it's over time, and the tank can still get off the same amount of shots that it could have if you were just shooting at it regularly, and I personally just don't think it's that effective. Not to mention, against other buildings, you need about 5 of them to take down a building, and it takes 8 seconds, so I personally don't think it's that effective, and it only works against ground units. So I'm